In this video, I'm going to show you the unique settings for columns. So let's go ahead and navigate over to our website by clicking on View Website on the top left-hand side. I'm going to add an empty template and I'm going to add an empty block. All right, and then I'm going to select my column and let's go through the unique settings for our columns. So you'll see here that we've got our same layout settings that we have for the block. So if I go ahead and add some content to this column, so let's add an image, and let's say that I want to add another image as well. Let's just put these as different cats. Let's go ahead with cute cats always. So I'm going to add one cat to one of those, and then I'm going to add another cat to the other one. There we go. That's a cute one. All right, so now we've got those two cats within this column. Now, if I come to my column settings and I decide that I want to change the direction of the content within this column to horizontal, you'll see that those images are then aligned next to each other. I then also have my justify settings very much the same as I do with my block. So if I want to center this, nothing's going to happen because I don't have any space and the content is currently being hugged within that column. So I'm not going to move that around, but you do have a basic understanding of how the justify settings work. So again, if I make this vertical and I decide to space this around or have it start, it's going to do it vertically instead of horizontally. It's the same is going to happen with the alignment settings, but because there isn't any extra space within this column right now, none of those settings are going to do anything. The gap setting is going to change, and you'll see that that gap is created in the spaces between the content. So that is the gap setting again. Again, all of this is pretty much the same as with rows and blocks. So there isn't anything new that you're learning here. You're just applying it to a different structural element. We then have our size. So if I change the size and I change them in height, you'll see that my column's height is actually not changing because, well, the images in it are huge. So if I go ahead and make this way too big, 10,000 pixels, so that's absolutely huge. That's maybe a bit excessive. So let's say 5,000. It's less excessive, but it's still pretty excessive. So now you'll get a better idea of, again, that spacing. If I move it to the end, it's down there. So again, I'm not going to go over the spacing and layout too much because it is what it is. You know exactly how to use it. So again, the min height is exactly the same as applied to blocks. And then we have our spacing. Again, it's the same. Margins are applied to the outside of the column. Padding is applied to the inside of the column. You'll see that this one already has 20 pixels of padding along the inside. And again, you can edit that spacing per side for the element. We then have our styles, and these are exactly the same as with rows. You can add a border to your column. You can change the width, let's start there, so that you can see a nice thick border. And then you can change the radius. So this is going to be rounded corners. If you want to have all your corners rounded, you can do that, but you can also edit it so that only some of your corners are rounded. So if you want a pointy corner on the left and a round corner on the bottom, and if we scroll down here and you want the bottom left to be pointy as well and the right one to be rounded, you can do that. So that is the radius setting in your border settings. You can also change the color and of course change the style of that border. We then have our background settings, and the background settings are exactly the same as with everything else. We have our color background, we have the image background, and we have the video background as well. And then of course we have the shadow as well, which again is exactly the same as it is for rows. So there's nothing really new here. This is all stuff that you are familiar with and are aware of. So like I said, we were just going to go over those settings very quickly because columns are pretty much the same as everything else. The one thing I suppose you did notice me doing is simply changing. I need to change the size of this. It's much too big. So let me... that's the wrong column. This column. There we go. That's the column that I want. I'm going to change that. I'm going to delete the min height of that. So one of the things that you did notice me doing is simply clicking and dragging to resize the columns. So that is something that you can do, is simply click and drag to resize the columns. Let me delete this and delete this column as well. To delete, I just right click and delete. And so if I come here to this container and I add a row, you'll see that I'm able to add as many columns as I want. I can choose the specific layout. So let's say that I like this particular layout for the columns within that row. You can change the sizing of them, but you can also just click and drag. Or if you want to, again, if you're not happy with the specific spacing, again, when I click and drag, just showing this, there's a percentage, so you can see like it's exactly 50-50, or it's exactly 30-70, or whatever your layout is that you want. You'll be able to see that specifically with percentages. But you can also navigate up to the row, and then you can click here, you can choose the layout settings, and again you'll be able to choose which of the column layouts you would like to apply to that row. And then again you can go in and customize the size and spacing for each of those columns that way. So now that is all of the unique settings for columns, changing the sizing, spacing, all of that, and the overall layout of your columns within a row. In the next video, things are going to get a little bit more complicated as we're going to go into all of the settings regarding containers. So get ready to have some fun with some much more advanced features. I'll see you there.